Lady, there's a metal this big inside of me. How am I supposed to relax? If you're a first-time mom and curious about what being induced is like, please stick around and watch my labor and delivery story. Hey, I'm Aka. Welcome to my channel. So, if you've watched my previous video on my experience of being pregnant and having fibroids, this will make sense. This is basically a continuation of that video. So, as I said in my previous video, I had a huge fibroid in pregnancy. And throughout my entire pregnancy, I was anxious, I was nervous, and it was not the nicest experience. Toward the end, I was also very uncomfortable because the fibroid was really huge and was pushing on my organs. So basically doing anything was so difficult. Like I said in my previous video, my doctor was hoping that I could get to 32 weeks. I ended up going over, past my due date, and had to be induced. Now, let's talk about the induction process itself. Generally, I'm someone who likes to do research, so ordinarily I would have looked up what to expect when I go for an induction. But for some strange reason, when I was going to my induction, I didn't do any research on what to expect when getting induced. So the whole thing was quite a shock. So I have my little notebook here, where I wrote basically everything, just little important notes regarding, my son's birth. So on the 28th of 9/10, I went to see my doctor in order to start the induction process. So the first thing that she did was a membrane sweep. I read about membrane sweeps. I watched videos where people said, oh, I had a membrane sweep. And in my mind, I'm not exactly sure what I was expecting, but this was kind of shocking to me. So when I went to my doctor, she asked me to lay down. She did all her regular checks. And then at this point, I was so uncomfortable because the fibroid was pushing up on me and the baby was huge. And my doctor and I had decided that I would get induced. So she asked me to lay down, and you know the okay. So she asked me to lay down. I had my knees up, legs wide open. Not the most flattering of positions, I might add, but anyway. So she stuck her fingers in my girl bit, and I was thinking, what the hell? And as if that was not enough, she started doing this scraping motion with her fingers. It was the most uncomfortable thing, not to mention painful. I was absolutely not expecting that, so it came as a shock. Each time she scraped, I was thinking, oh my goodness, what on earth is going on? So after she did her thing, it didn't take too long. I did feel some discomfort, and she told me to expect that it was normal. She asked me to go home and observe myself, see if anything would happen, if labor would start. The whole afternoon I was quite uncomfortable because just fiddling around down there is not a nice feeling, but nothing really significant to report. It was the same really. I had the membrane sweep at 9 in the morning and I was uncomfortable throughout the morning and afternoon, and at around 3 p.m. I noticed quite a significant amount of bleeding after urination, and I thought, yes, good, something is happening finally. something is actually happening, and I was so excited. I was hoping that labor would start that night. At 7:59, according to my handy notes, 7:59 p.m. I had, and sorry guys, this is so TMI, but you know, what can we say? You know, what can we do? So according to my notes, my handy notes, I had a mucus discharge with tinges of blood, and my notes are so funny. I write presumably mucus plug / bloody show. So I had that at 7:59, 19:59, almost 20. My doctor told me that if by that evening there were no signs of labor, I was to go to the hospital at 6 in the morning in order to break my waters. So I arrived at the hospital at 6 in the morning with my mom, with my bags packed, and I remember I wrote my son a little note, you know, just in case, you never know. Labor is a 50-50 thing. You never know how it could go, just in case, who knows. Went to the hospital. I saw my doctor at 7. I was escorted to the delivery room, upon which again my knees were up in the air, my legs spread wide open, and there was my doctor and nurse. When they entered the room, they came with these rather large metal implements that I would have never guessed could be poked into your girl bits. The sight of them was horrifying. They were long metal things. If I can find a photo, I'll insert it. I was beginning to realize that things were getting real, guys. Things were getting real. So she had these metal things all lined up, and she stuck it inside of me, and I was so nervous, and I kind of tightened up, and the nurse said, "Oh no, relax. Lady, there's a metal this big inside of me. How am I supposed to relax? Come on." So anyway, I was very tense, and they keep telling me to, you know, calm down, calm down. So they had trouble just getting a grip of it. This took quite some time, according to my notes. The whole process took quite some time because they just couldn't get a grip, and you know, enough to break my waters. But at around 7:15 or thereabouts, they finally managed to do it. Oh, wow. There's a lot of water in there, eh? Amniotic fluid. When they finally managed to get hold of it and ruptured it, I felt this gush of liquid all over the place, flying around everywhere, and I was so embarrassed. But they said, "Oh no, don't worry, it's normal." Blah blah. Yeah. So I walked back to my room. I remember the nurse gave me these maternity pads, and she asked me to straddle them between my legs because I wasn't wearing any underwear. So I had to wobble back to my room with this pad between my legs. And at 07:25, they started me on oxytocin, a drip. I mean, just getting the drip in was drama. Bear in mind, like, I've been a fairly healthy person. I've never had any hospital stays. The only time I frequented the hospital was when I was pregnant for my monthly antenatal checkups. But aside from that, throughout my adulthood, I had never had to go to the hospital. I think the last injection I got was probably for measles in 2004. Aside from that, I've been healthy. I don't really do needles very well. I'm not a huge fan. So anyway, they had to insert a cannula. Oh my gosh, that is so bloody painful. Wow, that was my first time having it done, and oh my god, that made me cry. That made me cry. It was so painful. And the nurse made a mistake the first time around, so she had to do it again. It was horrific. I didn't enjoy it at all. So anyway, they finally managed to hook me up to start the oxytocin drip in the cannula. The contractions started fairly quickly after that. Contractions are not fun. Oh my gosh. I remember minding my own business, laying in bed thinking, oh good, now let's get this show on the road. My doctor had told me, oh, I'm sure you're going to have this baby before 3 this afternoon. So my dad was going out of town just for a few hours. He'd be back before 3. My sister was also at home, but she went off to do something, and I don't really remember. My brother lives out of town. My husband was not able to make it for the birth of our son, so it was just me and my mom in the hospital, minding my own business, lying in the bed, and then these contractions start. Oh my gosh, those things were contractions hurt. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just saying those things are bloody painful. I remember gripping the bed rails of the hospital bed so tightly I thought I was going to break them. That's how much pain I was in. It was so painful, and tears started falling down my cheeks. And then the nurse said, oh no, you don't cry when you're having contractions. It's not good for the baby. Lady, it hurts. I mean, come on. So painful, I tell. It was really, wow. I don't know how women can do that for days. God, ladies who've had natural birth, you're my MVPs, man. I don't know how. I don't know if I would have survived that for an entire day. Ouch, contraction. Wow. Just had my water. Oh my god, it's pretty gross, right? Oh man. If you enjoyed this story and would be interested in seeing more of my content, please guys, don't forget to subscribe. Show your sister some support. Like this video and share it. Thanks for watching my story time, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in my next video.